The wind cut sharply through the narrow streets as Christmas Eve settled over the city. Holiday lights shimmered above the sidewalks like strands of frozen stars, but for Emma, the glow felt distant, unreachable. Her old coat could barely hold back the cold, and her gloves had small holes in the fingertips. Still, she walked with a quiet determination, clutching her worn handbag close to her chest. Inside it lay her last $10. Emma had been searching for work for months. Ever since the small bakery she worked at closed without warning, she had struggled to keep up with rent, food, and daily expenses. Today had been especially tough. She had walked from one end of town to the other, dropping off resumes, asking for temporary work, and hoping someone would say yes. But every answer had been the same: "We'll call you," which almost always meant never. Now she stood at the bus stop, her toes numb from the cold. Snowflakes drifted gently around her, catching in her hair and on her eyelashes. Families passed by with shopping bags full of gifts, children laughing, couples holding hands. She felt invisible, as if the holiday cheer chose to skip over her. The bus rolled into view, rumbling down the street, its windows fogged with warmth. Emma reached into her bag, fingers trembling slightly. That $10 bill was all she had left until she could figure out how to earn more. She had planned to use it to buy a small meal and maybe a hot drink, to feel, for just one moment, like Christmas hadn't swallowed her whole. But the driver leaned out and called, "Fare's gone up today." $10 exactly. Emma froze. That meant she would have nothing left. Not a single cent. The cold wind gusted around her. She thought about walking home, over an hour away, and the temperature dropping fast. She thought about the empty apartment waiting for her, the dim Christmas lights she couldn't afford to plug in, the silence she'd have for company. She looked at the bus, at the faces inside, people warm and safe. And she knew what she had to do. She handed over her last $10. "Thank you," she whispered, though the words were more for herself than anyone else. The bill disappeared into the driver's box, and she climbed aboard, heart tightening with both relief and pain. She sank into a seat near the back, hugging her coat around her. The bus smelled of heat, old fabric, and pine-scented air freshener. She watched the city pass outside the window, stores closing for the night, shimmering holiday displays, people hurrying home with gifts. Her stomach growled quietly, reminding her she hadn't eaten since morning. When the bus finally reached her stop, she stepped off into the swirling snow. The street was nearly empty now, the world wrapped in a blanket of quiet white. She walked slowly, wishing she could somehow stretch this moment of warmth she had just left behind. The sound of an engine hummed nearby. She ignored it. Cars passed often enough. But then the lights stopped beside her. She turned her head slightly. A long black limousine had pulled up to the curb. Emma blinked, unsure if she was imagining it. The tinted window lowered smoothly, and the warm glow from inside the car spilled out into the cold night. A man with silver hair and kind eyes leaned forward. He wore a tailored coat and a soft scarf, and his expression held both warmth and curiosity. "Excuse me," he said gently. "Are you Emma Hayes?" Emma stiffened. "Yes. Who are you?" The man smiled softly. "My name is Jonathan Pierce." The name meant nothing to her. She clutched her bag a little tighter. He continued, "You don't know me, but I've been looking for you." Emma took a step back. "Why? I think you have the wrong person." "No," he said calmly, shaking his head. "You're exactly who I've been trying to find. May I speak with you for a moment?" The window rose halfway, blocking the wind but allowing her to hear him. Emma hesitated. Everything about the situation felt unbelievable, but something in the man's voice, steady, gentle, almost familiar, made her stay. Jonathan opened the back door. "Please. It's warm inside, and I promise you, you're safe." Emma hesitated for several long seconds. She glanced up and down the street. Deserted. Snow falling steadily. Finally, she climbed inside. Warmth enveloped her instantly. Plush seats, soft lighting, and the faint scent of cedar and cinnamon. She felt out of place, like she had stepped into someone else's life. Jonathan closed the door and sat across from her. "Emma," he began, "I'm not here by coincidence. Earlier today, you helped someone without knowing it." Emma frowned. "Helped? Someone? I don't think so. I've barely spoken to anyone today." Jonathan reached into the front seat and handed her a small sealed envelope. My mother, he explained, was on the same bus you just rode. Emma blinked. The bus. She was sitting near the front, he continued. She dropped her wallet when she boarded. You picked it up and handed it back to her without a second thought. Emma remembered a fragile older woman with a blue scarf and gentle eyes. She recalled bending down to pick up the wallet, handing it back with a smile and saying, "Be careful, lots of people lose things in this weather." Then she had stepped off, thinking nothing of it. Jonathan smiled. She told me how kind you were. How your coat didn't look warm enough. How tired you looked. She saw you pay with your last bill, and she insisted we find you. Emma's throat tightened. She shook her head slowly. I didn't do anything special. You did something pure, Jonathan said simply. And sometimes, that's the rarest gift. He nodded toward the envelope in her hands. Open it. Her fingers trembled as she tore the seal. Inside was a letter, but also a check. Her breath caught. A check. For $10,000. Emma stared at it, unable to speak. The numbers seemed unreal, almost floating on the paper. Jonathan leaned forward. My mother said no one with so little to give should give so freely unless they have a heart worth believing in. She asked me to deliver this to you personally. She wanted you to know she sees your strength, even if the world overlooks it. Emma covered her mouth with her hand as tears filled her eyes. I can't accept this. It's too much. Jonathan shook his head. It's exactly right. Consider it a miracle. One my mother insisted you deserved. A tear rolled down her cheek, warm against her cold skin. She hadn't cried all day, despite hunger, fear, and loneliness. But now, sitting in a limousine on Christmas Eve with kindness wrapped around her like a blanket, she couldn't stop. Jonathan reached into a side compartment and pulled out a small wrapped box. And one more thing. A Christmas gift. Emma accepted it with trembling hands, unwrapping the soft paper. Inside was a delicate silver pendant shaped like a snowflake, sparkling as it caught the light. It belonged to my mother when she was your age, he said. She wants you to have it. Emma clasped the pendant against her chest, speechless. Mr. Pierce, she whispered, voice trembling, I don't know how to thank you. You already have, he replied gently. By reminding us that goodness still exists. The limousine slowed to a stop in front of her apartment building. Jonathan gave her a warm smile. Take care of yourself, Emma. And Merry Christmas. She stepped out into the falling snow, the warmth of the limousine fading behind her. But she didn't feel cold anymore. She held the envelope against her chest, the pendant around her neck, and for the first time in months, hope flickered inside her like a small flame. She looked up at the sky, snowflakes landing softly on her cheeks. A miracle had found her on Christmas Eve. And maybe, just maybe, life was finally about to change.